It's September, so you know what that means. Hey there, Man Fam. It's September, which is Hispanic and Latin Heritage Month, specifically September 15th through October 15th, which means I am here at Universal Orlando with another Snacks and Facts video. This is the series where during month-long celebrations, we hit the theme parks for some fun, but more importantly, take a deeper dive and learn about some of the artists, creatives, executive, producers, and more that make these incredible places and some of our favorite movies happen. Today, I am at the newest park in the world, Universal Epic Unvierse, with some very fun people to talk about. I'm super excited. If you've not seen this video series before, we kicked it off in Walt Disney World for a season. We've been doing these over at Universal Orlando this year. They're one of my favorite types of videos to make, so come on, we got a lot to learn. First up, we're gonna talk about Ramon Peridoa, who I will say, I know we're sitting at Epic Unvierse because that's very applicable to the rest of the folks on our list, but Ramon's work is best seen at Universal Studios Florida, so I will be using footage from his experiences there, but I do have something fun to share at the end of this to celebrate Ramon. Ramon graduated from the University of Central Florida and started working at Universal in 2017 as an entertainment performer, and part of his time included being a scare actor at the iconic Halloween Horror Nights. But his love for Halloween Horror Nights began as a guest when he first attended in 2009. In one interview of his, he stated, "As cliche as it may sound, I knew the moment I stepped into the fog and became enveloped in the magic of HHN that my future lay firmly in the hands of this event." He started working with Halloween Horror Nights longer in 2019 as a performance coordinator and captain, and this included things like putting the scare actors through scare school, where he taught them how to be scary with things like timing and their body movements. In 2021, he served as the assistant show director for Universal's Great Movie Escape, which is the escape room style experience you can find on City Walk, a first of its kind at the theme parks, featuring rooms that celebrate Back to the Future and Jurassic World. Additionally, as an assistant show director for the parks, he's worked on several seasonal events throughout the years, like Mardi Gras and the Universal holidays. He also has worked on park entertainment. He directly worked on Cinesational, which is the current nighttime show when it's not Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios Florida. It celebrates music in movies, and Universal does own the rights to some of the best music in movies of all time. Harry Potter, E.T., Jaws, pretty much all done by John Williams. And this show was in development for years before its debut last summer in 2024. I actually had the pleasure of interviewing Ramon at the media event for this show, and he talked about how it's really showcasing the power of music in film. When talking about the show, he said, "When you think of all your favorite movies like Jurassic Park, Back to the Future, and E.T., the film score is such an important part of what the character of these movies are. We wanted to create a Lagoon show that not only celebrated these iconic franchises and brands we've worked with at Universal, but also celebrated their scores." Now, I'm serious. If you get the chance to see this show when you're at Universal, I cannot recommend it enough. It is just banger after banger. It has a heart. It is going to make you laugh. It could make you teary. I know it does for me. An incredible show. But for me, and I'm sure many of you, Ramon's best contributions come from Halloween Horror Nights. After serving as an assistant show director, he became a show director in 2024. A couple notable houses that he has show directed. Fan favorites such as Halloween, which happened to be the first horror movie he ever saw, Stranger Things, and The Last of Us. This year, he was the writer and show director for one of the most popular houses, Terrifier. Additionally, this year, he worked on the Horrors of the Wyatt Six, which is the WWE house. In talking of this house, he said, "He's still pinching myself. I've been a professional wrestling fan since I was 5 years old. Working as the show director and writer of this experience and blending my passions for WWE and HHN is a dream I never imagined would come true. I'm so incredibly humbled and grateful." And if you have been through the WWE house, even if you're like me and don't know anything about WWE, you can tell that the team is passionate about this. You can tell that they were excited and honored to represent the legacy of Bray Wyatt. And this house is truly a love letter by fans and for fans of the WWE. Possibly most applicable for this movie is Ramon was instrumental in the Fiesta de Chupacabras house a few years ago, which was the first Halloween Horror Nights house entirely in Spanish. He not only wrote and voiced the backstory, which you could hear on the Universal podcast, but he said that as a Latino on the creative development team, it's hard to sufficiently put into words how much this house means to me. It's authentic, terrifying, and unlike any experience before it. I'm so fortunate to have played a part in the monumental story we are presenting. Ramon also fittingly worked on Monstros, the Monsters of Latin America, which was a fan favorite house out at Universal Studios Hollywood, for the past 3 years, 3 iterations of the house, but 2 years ago they brought it to Universal Orlando for the first time. He said, "I think it's important to recognize that even within the Latinx community, there's so much to learn about different cultures. And as our guests start to uncover these stories, they're going to be in for some real scares." This year, he also is working as the show director and writer of El Artista, a Spanish haunting, which follows a Spanish artist Sergio Navarro as he goes to a desolate mansion to see if he can spark some creativity, not realizing that it's actually haunted and the house would turn on him. About this project, Ramon said, "This house was not only a passion project for me, but for everyone involved in making it a reality. Grateful for their partnership in bringing this to life." I could stop there, but I'm gonna rattle off one more instrumental house that Ramon worked on, which was a couple years ago called The Darkest Deal. This was about a blues singer who made a deal with the devil so that he could have fame. And while that may not seem like it fits in with the last few houses I spoke about, Ramon said this: "Getting to create the first original Cuban character in Halloween Horror Nights Orlando history, Roberto El Brujas Fuentes. As a second-generation Latino and the son of Cuban immigrants, having the opportunity to bring Roberto's story to life through our Haunted Tales podcast series was a special achievement for me. I'm so fortunate to have had the voice that I have within my team. Much like the story of El Brujo, my parents migrated to the United States against all odds in pursuit of a better life for me and my siblings. I carry their sacrifices with me every day, and to get to pay tribute to them through my work is a dream come true." If you are an HH fan, you owe Ramon a debt of gratitude, just like I do, for some of the most inventive and beautiful stories we have seen in recent history with these houses that he specifically wrote and show directed. Monstros is one of my favorite houses I've ever been to. El Fiesta de Chupacabras had some incredible puppetry. El Artista Spanish Haunting is the most beautiful Halloween Horror Nights house I've ever seen. So, even though we're at Epic Universe to celebrate Ramon, I actually just did an Unmasking the Horror tour with Alan where they take you behind the scenes and show you the houses with the lights on, and I'm going to share some of the incredible detail from El Artista in some photos, as well as talk a little bit more about the beautiful story that Ramon and his team did. For starters, the house is the largest set piece that Universal has ever created for Halloween Horror Nights. They literally built a manor inside of a soundstage. And as you head into Casa Creacion, you're going to see, with the lights on at least, Sergio Navarro's diary entries, which are narrating this entire tale, but you can't really see them with the lights off, but each one has been filled out, and that just goes to show that the creative team put so much heart and passion into these houses, even if you're not going to be able to see everything. One of my favorite details is that as you look throughout the manor itself, it looks like it's watching you. There seem to be faces and eyes and everything from the architecture to the grates to the paintings on the wall. When you walk through the house, you're going to see Sergio pretty quickly, as well as some portraits of the family that lived there before him. And we're going to uncover the mystery of what happened to that family as you go. For starters, we're going to see the ghosts of a little boy and a little girl, and each of them have a goblet near them. As you continue to weave your way around the house, you're going to end up in the conservatory, which is where the mother of the family used to spend her time, because she was an artist too, and this house preys on creatives, although her art was from her beautiful flowers and her botany. As you continue through the garden, you are going to find the ghost of the father, who was a Spanish soldier, and eventually you're going to come across one final goblet, and this one is full with the wisteria tea, which you may not know, and I didn't know till today, is poisonous. So it seems as though the house drove the mother mad. She poisoned her children and her husband, and then if you look up in the second story of the home, try not to be distracted by the swinging gargoyle turning around and facing you, you will see her ghost. It will then disappear, and your eye, at least in the lights on tour, will look towards the water fountain, which we weren't allowed to photograph, which has got a bunch of cracks in it, almost as if someone jumped and hit it with their head, which would have caused her to take her own life. And now you see her as the mother ghost throughout the house. Is she a friendly spirit warning Sergio about the dangers of this house? Or is she, like the rest of the house, trying to claim him? Eventually, however, unfortunately, Sergio does fall to the powers of the house. And it turns out the painting you see in the final room is actually the painting he was working on in the beginning. He was painting his own death from the start. Another fun thing I saw on the Unmasking the Horror tour is that Ramon actually stuck a picture of himself in Hatchet and Chain's Demon Bounty Hunters. It's a picture that he also hid in Monstrose when that house existed. There's also an Easter egg for him in the Horrors of the Wyatt Six in the Ramblin' Rabbit Room. He's having a tea party, and on the wall there is a sideways tea party set up with different name placards of different creatives, and one of them is for Ramon. And I'm sure that he was thrilled about that, being such a big WWE fan. And I'm not gonna lie to you, if I was a show director in Halloween Horror Nights, you better believe I would be sneaking myself into those houses because they deserve it. So next time you go through a Halloween Horror Nights, perhaps this year you're gonna go through El Artista or Hatchet and Chains, or the next time you see Sensational, think of Ramon Peridoa and his incredible storytelling and art direction that brings to life so many different facets of Universal Entertainment. All right, switching gears a little bit, and as we head to our next destinations, we are gonna talk about one of my favorite actresses, America Ferrera. America Ferrera is a first-generation American born in Los Angeles to Honduran immigrants who moved here in the 1970s. Her parents got divorced when she was 7, and her single mother worked as a housekeeper at Hilton and stressed continuously the importance of education. America did theater growing up with roles in plays like Hamlet and Oliver, and she took her mother's advice seriously and went to the University of Southern California, where she double majored in theater and international relations on a presidential scholarship. In 2002, she made her film debut in the Disney Channel original movie Gotta Kick It Up, Si Se Puede. Shortly after, she made her first feature film debut in a film called Real Women Have Curves. This movie has been celebrated for its authentic storytelling, and in 2019, the film was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. It is the first Latina-directed film to be inducted into the registry. Now, if you're like me, you first really came to know and love America in her 2005 portrayal of Carmen in The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Her next big role would come in 2006 when she landed the starring role of Ugly Betty, and this won her basically the triple crown of TV acting: the Golden Globe, the Screen Actors Guild Award, and the Emmy for Lead Comedic Actress. She was also the first Latina woman to ever win the Emmy in this category. Because of that, United States Representative Hilda Solis commended her for helping her break down stereotypes and provide a positive role model for young Latina women. And in 2007, she was named one of Time Magazine's 100 Most Influential People. In 2010, she voiced Astrid in How to Train Your Dragon, a strong kick-butt female character who's considered the best dragon racer and toughest Viking of all the kids in Berk, which is of course why she's here on my list. Also, that role won her a Voice Arts Award. Well, another connection to Universal that I know and love her for is in 2015, she starred in NBC's Superstore, which I personally think is a criminally underrated sitcom. Additionally, she co-produced the film. She's continued to work in film, TV, and theater, adding more producer roles and director roles to her credits list. But my personal favorite project of all of her amazing work is, of course, Barbie. Her role as Gloria earned her 2 Critics' Choice nominations, a Screen Actors Guild nomination, a Screen Actors Guild Award, and an Oscar nomination. And I have to assume all of this was based on what I perceive as the greatest monologue in cinema history.
It is literally impossible to be a woman.
In addition to her acting work, America is a strong activist, speaking out during things such as the Me Too movement, the DNC, and the Women's March. Notably, she has worked with Voto Latino and Si Se Puede, which encourages Latino community to get out and vote. Last year, she was made an IOM Global Goodwill Ambassador, and she's co-founded 2 nonprofits, including Harness, which is described as a community of artists, influencers, and grassroots leaders leveraging art and storytelling to power change, and Poderistas, a digital lifestyle community and nonprofit organization built to celebrate Latina culture and harness the power of community. And if all that wasn't enough, she's also the primary investor of a women's soccer team, the Angel City FC. Throughout different interviews, she's talked about what it means to be a Latina woman in Hollywood, referring back to interviews and auditions where she was told to be more Latina, and she didn't understand because she said, I am Latina, I can't be more Latina, but they actually just wanted her to speak worse English. And she's talked about how she's turned that stereotyping and that prejudice into her superpower, saying, being raised by a single mother, immigrant, doing everything and anything to survive, to provide and thrive, she came to this country so that we could have every opportunity, and I think any child of immigrants understands the vital piece of their story that this sacrifice plays. You carry that with you into everything. It's never just you. It's never just your dreams and hopes in the classroom or on the field or whatever you're doing. You know that you're really playing your part in the longer story of legacy and sacrifice that came before you so that I could have the opportunities I've had for me. So that's a really big part for me. Now, if we're gonna celebrate America Ferrera, I think there's only one place to do it in this park. We're going to Burke. Welcome to Burke. How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Burke, one of the 4 portals here at Universal Epic Universe. Now, to celebrate America via Astrid, of course, we could go over to Dragon Racers Rally, which is where the worst of the Dragon Racers, Snotlout, and the best of the Dragon Racers, which we've already established as Astrid, teach you how to fly on the back of a dragon. But you know what? Why go do that, as fun as it is, when I could go eat one of the most delicious things in Epic Universe that happens to be named after Astrid? The joy walking into this world will never, I hope it never leaves me, because it is so, it's unbelievable. And I think that every time I come in here, I can't believe this is real. Say hello to Astrid's Shrimp Bowl. This and the Stoic Steak Bowl from Spitfire Grill are literally my favorite foods, quick service foods in this park. You have got here sticky rice, tropical barbecue shrimp, grilled tahini corn, charred broccolini, shaved parmesan, and a raspberry vinaigrette. Oh baby, I'm excited to eat this. I know people love those mac and cheese cones, and I get it, but these are where it's at. Like, this is so good for a walk-up stand at a theme park. The Culinary team, fit in that, outdid themselves with this one. The sticky rice is fantastic. The corn adds like a little natural sweetness. Then you've got these big chunks of cheese, which add a little natural nuttiness. The shrimp grilled perfectly with a sweet barbecue sauce on it. So America, this is for you. Thank you for Astrid. Thank you for Gloria. Thank you for Carmen. Thank you for Betty. But more importantly, thank you for being a wonderful human. Cheers. Portal hopping into our next world, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic, so we can be surrounded by the art of this next person as we talk about them. And if you're a big Harry Potter fan or have watched a bunch of our videos where we talk about secrets and details and things, you may already know who we're about to chat about. We are going to talk about Eduardo Lima, and if you already knew that, then 10 points to your house, 20 if it's Slytherin. Eduardo Lima is Brazilian and got his degree in visual communications from, I'm going to do my best to pronounce this, but I do not speak Portuguese, the Pontifical Universidade Católica in Rio de Janeiro. And he started working with his partner Mirafina Mina in 2001 to create the graphic universe for the Harry Potter movies and eventually the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. They have worked together on every movie, including the Fantastic Beasts film, on any graphic you see in these movies. The Daily Prophet, a Hogwarts textbook, a Honeyduke's candy wrapper, the Black Family Tapestry, the Marauders map, any graphic was designed by them. And if you're the design team in charge of, again, every single graphic in an entire fandom cinematic universe, you know what you do? You hide yourself in the movies, of course. You can see Eduardo hiding in the Harry Potter films. Eduardo Lima, the author of the Monster Book of Monsters. Eduardo Lima, a runes and symbols employee at the Ministry of Magic, and Eduardo Limet Black, a disowned member on the Black family tree. In 2009, thanks to their success and work on the Harry Potter films, Mirafina and Eduardo founded a studio, Mina Lima, with the goal of, quote, creating distinctive and unconventional design and illustration for the entertainment and publishing industries. Not only have they influenced the Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts films, but they are also instrumental in building the parks, having contributed to every Wizarding World of Harry Potter around the world. They said that it took them over 2 years to create the graphics for Diagon Alley alone because, again, they're designing every single graphic, from newspapers to book covers to shop signs. And while they have a lot of material they can use from the films, a lot had to be designed for these worlds as well. I had the pleasure of speaking with Mina Lima during the opening week of Epic Universe when they came to check out their work here in the Ministry of Magic, and they told us it took them years to create everything for this world as well, because while they had designs for things like butterbeer and different candies for the British Wizarding Worlds, they had to redo it all in French. I asked them some of their favorites, and they specifically pointed out the warning that the Eiffel Tower is not a port key notice. They also said they had no idea where it was in the world because they designed and created everything with all the graphics, sent it over to the Universal creative team, and then that team placed it wherever they wanted around the Ministry of Magic. So it was fun walking around the park with them because they were discovering their own art the same way I was. Outside of Harry Potter, they've also designed props for films such as Sweeney Todd, The Golden Compass, and The Imitation Game. And their work on books doesn't stop at the Monster Book of Monsters. They have illustrated the first 3 Harry Potter books, which are my personal favorite copies of the story I own, because they've added some interactive elements as well as their incredible artistry. They've also illustrated the Mina Lima Classic series for Harper Publishing, which includes fully illustrating iconic stories such as The Wonderful World of Oz, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, the Grimm fairy tales including Snow White, Peter Pan, Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales including The Little Mermaid, and many more. And as a pro tip, these are great baby shower gifts because they're beautiful and colorful and a great, nice addition to a nursery, but also they're going to be fun for mom to read. Because of their success of their art and people wanting to be able to purchase it and keep Harry Potter and other artwork in their homes, they've opened several brick and mortar House of Mina Lima stores around the world. They've got shops in London, Japan, New York City, and much more. I myself have many of their pieces of art in our Harry Potter themed bar. And while they are independent artists, I think because of the IP they are most known for and still work on, I think it's worth noting that they are incredible allies to the LGBTQ+IA community. They are avid and loud supporters of all rights, actively disagreeing with certain people, and they not only create and sell art where all kinds of couples are represented, they boldly and loudly decorate their store every Pride and have done fundraisers for Pride for London and other organizations. So bouncing off of that, I can think of no better way to honor the work of Eduardo Lima here in the wizarding world of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic, which is covered in his art. We could just walk around and look at every single newspaper, book cover, candy wrapper, and poster on the wall. That would take forever. So instead, I'm going to show you where he's hidden himself and his husband here as Easter eggs. First of all, when you first come in, there's this huge perfume ad right here for a perfume called Divine Magic. And yes, it has been confirmed that that's the same brand of perfume that you can see in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince that is replicated in the King's Cross train station here in Universal Studios, Florida. This is just the 1920s Paris ad for this perfume versus the 1990s London ad. But more importantly, if you look at who the designer of this perfume is, it says Divine Magic de Lima Carniero. Lima is, of course, Eduardo Lima, and Carniero is his husband, Mauricio Carniero. Mauricio, also Brazilian, was a costume designer on several of the Harry Potter films, which is where they met. He additionally has worked on movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, a couple of Star Wars films, and Sweeney Todd. Which is why it's probably not surprising to find out the tailor in 1920s Paris wizarding world is named Mauricio Meris, and Mauricio Meris Tailors is the wizarding tailor shop here at Place Cochet, which was a nod from Eduardo Lima to his husband. Now, selfishly, I also feel the need to point out a couple of my favorite pieces of art that they did for Ministry of Magic. I love the French design for butterbeer and pumpkin juice. I love the giggle water design. But my favorite thing, maybe not by aesthetics, but by looks, is that there is a magical cheese competition happening. It's being advertised on one of the flyers. And that's all I'd ever dreamed to join. I want to be a wizard just so I can join the magical cheese competition. So thank you, Eduardo Lima, for not only the incredible art around this wizarding world of Harry Potter, but all of them around the world, as well as making the aesthetic of the films that we all grew up and loved and enjoyed what they are today. All right, I made it to my next destination because I looked out in Wizarding World, thought it's not that bad. And then I had committed and now I look like this, but we made it across the park to Celestiki to talk about our next person. We are going to talk about Daniel Perez. Daniel Perez is a first-generation Cuban American who grew up in Miami, and when he was in high school, he attended MIT for a 6-week science and engineering program for rising high school seniors called the Minority Introduction to Engineering and Science. He fell in love with the school as well as engineering, so later he enrolled in civil engineering at MIT, but also found he had a passion for theater, so he began performing with MIT's theater groups, such as the Musical Theater Guild, the Shakespeare Ensemble, Drama Shop, and Teatro Latino, a group that he spearheaded that produced plays in both English and Spanish. When asked about the somewhat unusual combination of loving engineering and theater, he said that both are about people who are experts in their fields coming together to do a project that betters humanity in some way. In one, you're talking about steel and concrete, in the other, lights or costumes or glitter, but it's still similar. He graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Engineering and Theater from MIT, and then got an MFA from Yale School of Drama in Theater Design and Production. After graduation, he went to work at Hudson Scenic Studios, which is a company that has designed sets for rides such as Rise the Resistance and Broadway shows like Hamilton, just to name 2 of their many, many, many impressive accomplishments. There, Daniel managed the construction of scenic elements for anything from a Broadway show to a television studio to theme parks. But he officially became a theme park guy when he joined Universal Studios Japan in 2016 as a creative manager. He was promoted to the Director of Creative Entertainment in 2019. And at this point, that means he was in charge of entertainment in 2020. So it was his job to incorporate safety protocols such as masks in the Halloween Horror Nights houses for performers after parks resumed operation after being closed for the pandemic. He was promoted to the Vice President of Creative Entertainment at Universal Studios Japan in 2022, and during his tenure at Universal Studios Japan, he and his team were responsible for entertainment such as the shows and parades, which I have seen some of, and they are incredibly impressive, although I did get wet in one of them, and fan favorites such as the creatures in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter and our beloved Hamikuma, the zombie teddy bear at Halloween Horror Nights. He also was responsible for the Guinness World Record holding Christmas tree at Universal Studios Japan, which is the most illuminated Christmas tree with 612,000 lights. Another popular feat he oversaw in Universal Studios Japan is the Demon Slayer anime roller coaster overlay. In an article about him from his alma mater, MIT, they stated that a single parade can run 45 minutes and involve more than 100 performers, a half-dozen floats, intricate choreography, and a huge all-out water fight with an audience. It's an enormous feat of engineering. And to that I say, good thing you had an engineer on the case. In 2024, Daniel was promoted to the Senior Director of Creative Strategy with Universal Creative and came back to Orlando. And the reason I braved the rain to get to Celestiki was for this. So Universal does something really fun for these months where they work with their culinary team to come up with specialty food and beverages for that month. And so this month they've worked with different Hispanic and Latino chefs and bartenders to come up with different flavors and offers that they can offer at certain locations throughout the month to help celebrate. And I love that. I love that they're drawing on the team members. But I was really excited this time because Epic got a drink, and Epic didn't get a drink at Pride. It was brand new, you know. Pride had lots of stuff all over the rest of the parks. I don't blame them for not making a special Pride drink here, like the week after this park opened. But I just hope this means that they will add more stuff at Epic as the time goes on. But let's see what we have. This is the Potoro Painkiller, which is a Puerto Rican-inspired drink that features Puerto Rican rum, pineapple juice, orange juice, cream of coconut, and is garnished with a dehydrated blood orange wheel. Now, this is not normally a beverage I would order. I'm not normally a rum girly or a tiki drinks girly, but we are celebrating, and I'm gonna give it a whirl, obviously. You know, I'm pleasantly surprised and delighted that the coconut is the strongest flavor and then the rum and not the juice. I'm not a huge fan of pineapple juice. I don't normally drink juice-based cocktails. If you watch Royal, you know my normal cocktails are like an old-fashioned or a martini or a good craft beer. So sweet drinks aren't my jam, but I do really like coconut. It's one of my favorite flavors when I do want a sweet treat. So this is kind of reminding me of like a pina colada, but not frozen, and it's got a little kick to it because of that nice Puerto Rican rum. And while I think I will stick to bar moonshine and the Burning Blade when I'm drinking at this park, I'm happy they offered this, and they do serve a strong cocktail here at Celestiki. So Thank you to the bartenders who made this for me. I believe I'm the first person to order it, as well as to Daniel, who brought us Hamikuma, who brought us the Hippogriff, and is now working on entertainment for Universal Creative. Cheers. All right, I'm hoping the rain is behind us. We're gonna move on to our next person, Gabriella Lander. Originally born in the United States, her parents brought her back to their home country of Venezuela when she was very young. And she always liked building and decided to become an architect. But she also loved storytelling. After a trip to Universal as a teenager, she decided she wanted to work for Universal. So she got her degree in architecture from the Universidad Simón Bolívar, and she learned English and moved back to the United States. She worked for an array of architecture firms before making her dream come true and joining the Universal team in 2014 as a facility design manager. Throughout her tenure, she's been promoted to Senior Facility Design Manager and then the Assistant Director of Concept Architecture and Facility Design to the Director of Facility Design and is currently the Senior Director of Architecture and Engineering Design. Her role here at Universal is to build the buildings that the attractions and other experiences live in, which is of course an extra challenge because not only do you have to make sure it's, a good building. I don't know anything about buildings. Pretty sure that's hard enough to begin with, but then you also have to make sure it's hurricane resistant. We're in Florida after all. And then, they also have to be able to house things like roller coasters going 70 miles an hour, or water, or fire effects, all the unique specifications that come with building theme park attractions, and often things most architects try and avoid. She said that commercial architects prevent their facilities from getting water in them or catching fire, and that she basically has to do the opposite. Quote, "In this industry as an architect, I have to design and provide a facility that not only keeps water out, but we flood it on purpose. It's not that it doesn't catch fire, it's that it does it when we put it in on purpose." Gabriella was in charge of the buildings at Velocicoaster and said that it was a huge architectural challenge because these are stories filled with fantasies that must be brought to life for the public. She talked about the importance of teamwork when working on something like Velocicoaster because there are so many different disciplines that have to work together, such as filmmakers, writers, producers, tech engineer, the companies that design the roller coasters themselves. And again, it's her job to build the building that all of this will live in. Other notable attractions she's worked on include Skull Island Reign of Kong and Super Nintendo World over at Universal Studios Japan. But more recently, she of course worked here at Epic Universe. In fact, she was one of the very first people that worked on Epic Universe. She was present at the very first brainstorming meetings for this park back when it was called, quote, the new project. This happened over a decade ago, and they were shown pictures of the plot of land where this beautiful theme park now sits. In her role for Epic Universe, she oversees all of the architecture and engineering design, the people, the processes, and everything that would happen for facilities to be able to house these experiences, restaurants, attractions, and more. She described this undertaking as, quote, "To put it into perspective, this is pretty much a small city where you have portions that are open to the public and portions that are not. There are over 100 venues, and I can tell you there are small towns that don't even have 100 houses." I cannot imagine what it would be like to work on a project for so long and essentially build an entire city that you're going to open to the public with, again, not just regular buildings, but buildings that hold state-of-the-art attractions and experiences for guests. Buildings that have to be able to house a dragon flying or monsters that have come unchained or a virtual reality race through a video game. And then on top of that, you have to have restaurants and restrooms and shops. And then there's, of course, all the things that you and I don't see and will never see. Backstage areas for the team members, these show buildings for these big attractions, facilities like water management, waste management, culinary, like all these things that when you get to come to a theme park and just go have fun on the rides and eat their food, you don't think about. But that was her job, to build it all. When Epic Universe was finally getting unveiled to the public, finally opening, Gabriella said this: "Can you imagine what it must feel like to work on a project for so long, not be able to talk about it, and then finally start to see it come to life? It's one of the most rewarding experiences of my life." I'm quoting her a lot because she's a queen and I love her. And in one article, she talks about the key to success here at Universal, and she said, "It's a direct reflection of the multitude of cultures, races, religions, abilities, backgrounds, and genders represented in this project through our team members. It's a safe environment for me to be authentic, to be myself, to express who I am and how I am as a woman, a Latina, a mother of two, a wife, a daughter. It's not just that I have support, but I have the space to grow and evolve who I am. So, for Gabriella, we are going to go ride one of the attractions. She had a direct hand in constructing. Well, she had a direct hand in everything. I literally could go be like, I'm going to do literally anything in this park, and she would have had a direct hand in it because, again, queen behavior. But she was specifically quoted in some of the earliest press releases about Epic Universe talking about one attraction in particular, the Constellation Carousel. She said that this is the most enchanting carousel ever made. The design, the colors, the tones, the dome that will cover it, well, all of the elements used in this experience are the perfect combination to create a unique moment while enjoying Epic. The traditional carousel of our childhood has been redefined by the stars. So let's go. Constellation Carousel, as Gabriella said, is the most enchanting carousel in the world because it takes a regular carousel and kicks it up quite a few notches. For starters, you're going to be riding on different creatures that have constellations in the stars, and they are illuminated with their constellation, which you can really see come to life at night. Plus, not only is the whole thing on a big turntable like any carousel, but there's 3 other turntables amongst that big one, which means you're spinning in a bunch of different directions. Plus, each of the carousel animals can spin individually 360 degrees. They can also all go up to 6 feet in the air. But don't worry, unless you get super motion sick on regular carousels, I don't think there's any motion sickness involved. It's a very slow, calm, kind of almost dreamy movement. Additionally, there was original music composed for this attraction specifically, so you never know what song you're gonna get. And it's just, like I said, a dreamy, wonderful carousel. So let's go check it out in honor of Gabriella. All right, we have one more stop here in Epic Universe, and we're gonna celebrate a couple of people. And if you come to Universal Epic Universe, these are some of the most influential people of your trip. I'm talking about the Culinary team. We're gonna talk about a couple of people and celebrate them together because they as a team are fantastic. So let's get into it, starting with Chef Christopher Colon. Chef Colon, who is Puerto Rican, says that some of his earliest memories are his mother and grandmother cooking dishes such as corned beef and rice and pastelon. Chef Colon, I'm sorry, I probably pronounced that wrong. But spoiler alert, if you have been to Mardi Gras in the past here at Universal Studios Florida, and you've gone to the Puerto Rico booth and tried either the pastelon or the alcapurrias, you're trying his family recipe. In an interview I read, he said his mother is the best cook he knows. Growing up, it was the memory I had of her cooking or my grandmother cooking. I just really kind of fell in love with it and dove in really deep. When Chef Colon's older brother was in school, he and his mom were alone, so he started cooking more. Quote, it really started for me as just kind of a way to help my mom, cooking, so she could come home and not have something to worry about. Now, as far as that older brother goes, let's put a pin in that. Without any formal culinary training, over 20 years ago, he started as a line cook at Mythos. He went to school and eventually worked his way to restaurant chef, where his role including but not limited to menu development, cost management, training. And over his tenure at Universal Orlando, he has helped open up almost every single current restaurant at Universal City Walk. And currently, he serves as the executive sous chef of research and development for the entire Universal Orlando Resort. Which means it's him and the team he oversees, it's their job to create all of the new food that comes to Universal Orlando, taking inspiration from the characters, stories, IPs, the different types of food, the attractions nearby, the seasonal events, which of course meant most recently, he and his team were in charge of designing the menus and creating all of the food and beverage dishes for this entire park, which is literally hundreds and hundreds of menu items, eats, sweets, drinks, and this took over 5 years to develop, which is an extremely long timeline even for this team, who's normally working months and months and months in advance. For example, we're all enjoying Halloween Horror Nights right now. They're already done with holidays and are probably already working on Mardi Gras menus. I've had the immense pleasure of speaking with Chef Colon at many events over the years, and it's so clear whenever you talk to him that he is so passionate for cooking amazing food and as well as telling stories through that food. I especially love talking to Chef Cologne when he is chatting about an IP that he's personally passionate about. As a video game fan, he was excited to figure out how to incorporate mushrooms into the Last of Us food for Horror Nights a few years ago. He is a huge WWE fan, so he told us this year how excited he was to create the food for the Wyatt Six booth. As well as when we were here for the Epic Universe media event, he talked to us about watching the How to Train Your Dragon movies with his young daughters and saw their faces light up when Toothless gave Hiccup a salmon, which is the direct inspiration for Hiccup's salmon on the meat hall menu. At the end of the day, he says he owes all of this to his mother. Family to me is everything, so she was my inspiration growing up, and you know, my food is her food. So to know that I'm doing my mother justice, it will never not be cool to know that someone worldwide now is eating something that my mother cooked for us when we were kids. And speaking of Chef Cologne's family, let's unpin the brother comment from earlier so that we can talk about Chef Marcos Cologne. Chef Marcos grew up working in restaurants. He had lots of jobs like busser, dishwasher, line cook, and he realized at a young age this is what he loved and what he wanted to do with life. He said that he has many fond memories of dishes that he still enjoys cooking today, such as pernil and arroz con gandules, and he in an interview I read said that his favorite holiday is Christmas. So whenever I eat that, the pernil, I tie it back to the holidays. Sometimes the most simple things are the most flavorful, and I think a lot of dishes from our childhood are just that. They just taste good. He started with Universal over 20 years ago as a line cook at the now extinct Pastamore Ristorante in City Walk. And during his tenure, he's worked alongside his brother as well as the team to help open all of those City Walk restaurants, eventually becoming the director of Culinary and the executive chef overseeing City Walk. Which means when I'm talking about the brothers Cologne, when I talk about Marcos Cologne being the executive chef of City Walk, we're talking Antijitos, Vivo, Margaritaville, Pat O'Brien's, the Red Coconut Club, and many more. But currently, Chef Cologne serves as the executive chef and director of culinary operations here at Universal Epic Unvierse. Basically, it's Chef Christopher Cologne and his team's job to come up with and ideate and invent all of the amazing dishes that will be served in the parks and at seasonal events. And it's Chef Marcos and his team's job to get it on the plate and figure out how to operate and execute them for thousands of guests every single day. Personally, I don't know who has it harder. The person who has to come up with the right dishes for a new theme park or a new seasonal event or a menu overdue, or the person whose team has to make sure it's executed perfectly every guest every time. Chef Marcos compared this in an interview to saying, okay, they've created Picasso. Now we have to figure out how to make Picasso 8 million times the same way each time. And that interview was with us here at Universal Epic Unvierse. He said that this has been the highlight of his career. Quote, the minute it was announced, Epic Unvierse, I said to everybody I could say it to, I'm going to be the chef of Epic Unvierse. And to finally see it happen, I'm so proud. When reflecting on his Puerto Rican heritage, he says that as he cooks food from Burke, Darkmoor, the Wizarding World, and beyond, he is always thinking of his home and where he grew up. He says, I equate the smell of frying oil on the stovetop to my childhood because we do the fried platanos, the tostones, fried pork chops, breaded steak, and then cilantro, garlic, onion, sofrito. That smell always brings me back. When asked what the secret to success is and to inspire others, especially others that are Latino, he says, don't back away from showing who you are and your culture and your food. Embrace all that. That's some of the best food out there because there's a story behind it. Don't shy away from it. Really dig in and learn as much as you can about all different cultures. But we're not done. We have one more chef to talk about, Chef Robert Martinez Jr. Chef Martinez got his start as a production cook in 2001 without any formal culinary school, and he's worked his way up, eventually joining the research and development team, and he's currently the director of culinary and executive chef here at Universal Orlando. And the reason he joined the team here at Universal is because his father, Chef Robert Martinez Sr., worked here as a chef as well. That's right, not only do we have the chefs Cologne, but we have the chefs Martinez. I don't know what's in the water in Puerto Rico or these Puerto Rican family kitchens, because to have two sets of double chefs cooking up the most delicious food, we're all benefiting. That's amazing. When I learned that, I was blown away. Talent clearly runs in these families. Chef Martinez's Junior and Senior worked together on developing new menus for lands such as Diagon Alley, but Chef Robert Jr. said that his favorite project he's collaborated on with his father was Volcano Bay. And I have to commend him. As a certified water park hater, one of the things I usually hate about water parks is the food. It's usually not very good, but Volcano Bay absolutely fixed that problem. He said that this water theme park was next level, and we just wanted to make really good food with no limitations to match the high expectations. The team created over 60 dishes for Volcano Bay, and one of their favorites, the tamarind glazed salmon with coconut rice and sweet plantains, was inspired by the chef's Martinez's Hispanic roots. Again, currently he is the director of culinary and an executive chef, so his role includes obviously leadership in the different kitchens, from the production kitchen, culinary, catering, R&D, quality control, development, reviewing menus, concepts, and making sure the quality across the resort is up to their standards. We've also been very lucky to speak with Chef Martinez at several different events over the years, and one of the things I always love talking to him about is storytelling through food. A couple of great examples that he's spoken to us about: the emphasis on food looking good and tasting good. We talked about this at the opening of Illumination's Minion Cafe, which is a very gimmicky restaurant, and normally you think that food is gonna look really cute, but it's not gonna taste good. He said it was paramount for his team to make sure that the food tasted as good as it looked, with his personal favorite things being the Uncle Drew's Belly Fill-In Pork Sandwich, and of course shout out to the Minion Tots. Chef Martinez also understands that sometimes the best treats are the simple ones that are just cute and Instagrammable, but still taste good. Similar to the Minion thing, but we're keeping it simple this time. And we talked about this at DreamWorks Land, where it's a very family-friendly land. The kids are gonna want things. Kids don't need anything too fancy. They want an ice cream cone, but they could have an ice cream cone inspired by the trolls by using the ice cream, the soft serve, to be the troll's hair, and then putting a fun wrapper on the cone. Simple, Instagrammable, but still delicious. Same thought with the Shrexel. It's just a delicious pretzel, which everyone wants to eat in a theme park, but it's shaped like Shrek, and it comes with swamp cheese, which is cheddar dipping sauce, but they added in a little spinach powder, which you can't taste, but it does make it appear green. Chef Martinez has also talked to us about the importance of storytelling and immersion. For example, here in Dark Universe at Das Steakhouse, where you are eating with the vampire familiars, he talked about the addition of having the vampire familiar, your server, pour the jus, which looks like blood, over your hand-carved steak to help play up the theming, because the food in these parks not only needs to taste good, but it needs to help tell the story of these incredibly immersive worlds. He said that every day we come into work and we try to create food that exceeds guests' expectations and takes them somewhere. When talking about the ginormous undertaking of creating menus and working on the menus and all the dishes at a brand new theme park, Chef Martinez said, overwhelmed with pride and emotions for what we have just accomplished. High-pressure moments teach you a lot about yourself and the people around you. The same boiling water that softens the potato hardens the egg. It's not about the circumstances, but what you're made of. In this post, he went on to thank his incredible team, saying that they crushed it, and then he ended it by saying on to the next project, because the team here at Universal literally doesn't sleep. They did Epic Unvierse, Horror Unleashed. They're doing the Kids Park in Texas next year. They've got another Horror Unleashed in Chicago on the books. They've got a new park in the UK. I don't know how any of these people are sleeping. They're all heroes in my eyes. So to honor the efforts of these three incredible culinary masters, all of them have spoken to me about their love for this restaurant right here, the Blue Dragon. So we are headed in there to grab a bite and just truly experience what theme park food can be at a level 10 years ago I would not have thought possible. Listen, if the chefs tell me to eat somewhere, I'ma eat somewhere. The Blue Dragon is one of 2 sit-down restaurants in the park. The other is Atlantic, which is a wonderful seafood restaurant. But the Blue Dragon is a Pan-Asian restaurant that's designed to always feel like night, like you're always dining under the stars, these beautiful neon lights and floating lanterns inside. And while if you've got a big group or you want to have a guaranteed seat, you should definitely make reservations. The bar seating is first come, first serve. So that's what we usually do at this point, and you can order off the full menu. Okay, well, I do have my favorites here, which were pretty much all recommended by the chef team, which include the beef and broccoli, the peanut shrimp noodles, which have got crispy shrimp and toasted coconut, the wontons and chili oil, and the double fried Korean wings. I felt like I needed to mix it up a little bit. So my server recommended the beef Zion noodles, which have come with spicy braised beef, Napa cabbage, Sichuan spice, garlic hot oil, and dragon sauce. Unsurprisingly, these noodles were once again delicious. The beef was cooked perfectly. It was falling apart in my mouth, so moist and flavorful, very savory. Little bit of heat coming through the dish, which I absolutely love. So if you're spice adverse, this one's not for you, but I like that when they advertise heat on this menu, they mean it. You've also got that delicious garlic flavor. The noodles are cooked perfectly in that chili oil, kind of soaking up some of that flavor as well. I have yet to have anything bad on this menu, and even though I prefer some things to others, this is really pushing what theme park food can be, and this is another fantastic dish. Whew. Well, I am full of noodles and beef, which is honestly the dream. And that is a wrap on this video. But in the Mammoth Club tradition of putting our money where our mouth is, we are making a $500 donation to Unidos US. They are the largest Hispanic civil rights and advocacy organization in the United States, focused on creating opportunities for Latinos and eliminating barriers they face in society, which currently includes knowing their rights when it comes to immigration. Their mission is, quote, to build a stronger America by creating opportunities for Latinos and ensuring they can achieve their full American dream. So we will link them down in the description of this video if you'd also like to make a donation. We certainly want to help those that we can, because we at Mammoth Club know immigrants make this country great. I mean, how many people did I just list that are or are kids of immigrants? So hopefully you had fun following along. I know they say this in every one of these videos, but thank you for watching these. I know these are not as fun or as exciting as going on every ride in the park or eating a bunch of food or playing rock, paper, scissors, but these are really, really special. These are truly a passion project. Feels like, especially right now, it is the least we can do is make these videos and highlight the incredible people that bring these places and these movies that we all know and love to life, because I truly think if we can just learn a little bit more about each other, that would be a big step in making the world a better place. So thank you all so much for watching. Next time you come to Epic Universe, make sure you think about some of these amazing people that made it happen. And until next time, friends, make sure to rate, review, subscribe, follow us on social media, come hang out with the Man Fam in Discord, check out our Patreon for behind the scenes and bonus content. And until next time, friends, I'm Molly, and it has truly been so magical. Good night.